File 002. 9 experienced hikers, 1 frozen mountain, a tent cut open from the inside, and footprints leading into the darkness, without shoes. February 1959. The northern Ural Mountains. 9 students set out on a winter expedition led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student and experienced trek leader. They were trained, prepared, used to extreme conditions. Their route would take them near a remote peak known as Kholat Syakhl. In the language of the local Mansi people, it means Mountain of the Dead. On February 1st, the group pitched their tent high on the slope. The wind was brutal, the temperature far below freezing, but nothing they hadn't handled before. They cooked, wrote in their journals, took photographs, and sometime during the night, something made every person inside that tent flee into the darkness. When the group failed to send their scheduled telegram, a search party was organized. Weeks later, rescuers found the campsite. The tent was still standing, but it had been cut open from the inside, not unzipped, not collapsed, cut. As if seconds mattered. Outside the tent, investigators found footprints, 9 sets, leading away from the shelter. Down the mountain, some in boots, some in socks, some completely barefoot. The temperature that night was estimated at around -30 degrees Celsius. The first 2 bodies were found beneath a cedar tree nearly a mile away. Barefoot, wearing only underwear. Nearby was the remains of a small fire. Branches above them were broken high up the trunk, as if someone had climbed the tree to look back toward the tent. 3 more hikers were found between the cedar tree and the campsite, positioned as though they had been trying to return. Back to the tent, back to safety. Officially, they froze to death, but that explanation only covered 5 of the 9. The search was not over. 2 months later, rescuers found the remaining 4 hikers in a ravine beneath deep snow. And this is where the case changed. Several of them had suffered massive internal injuries, broken ribs, crushed chests, 1 fractured skull, but almost no external wounds. The force was later compared to the impact of a car crash, and then came the details that pushed the case into legend. One of the victims was missing her tongue, not damaged, gone. Some of the clothing tested positive for traces of radiation, and witnesses in nearby settlements reported strange orange lights moving across the sky that same night. The official Soviet investigation reached a conclusion, but not an answer. The hikers, it said, died because of a compelling natural force. No attacker was identified, no clear event confirmed, no full explanation given. The case was closed. The files were sealed. For decades. In 2019, Russian authorities reopened the investigation using modern snow modeling and terrain analysis. Their conclusion was that a rare slab avalanche forced the group to cut their way out of the tent. But many researchers still question that explanation. The slope was relatively gentle. The tent was still partially standing. And the footprints suggested the group moved away in an organized way, not in blind panic. More than 60 years later, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains one of the most famous unsolved mysteries in modern history. 9 experienced hikers fled shelter into a lethal winter night. The mountain returned 9 bodies, but whatever made them run was never found on that slope. Some say it was an avalanche, others point to wild animals. Or was it secret Soviet weapons tests in the mountains? But none of those explanations fit every detail, and none offer definitive proof. File 002 remains open, transmission ending until the next file.